Yeah, it's small. Those are smaller ones. This one is not one.
These two over here to work.
Bismillah. Bismillah. Check them. Yeah, this is halal socks.
Next thing they will be Zalada. Next thing Zabia socks. देखा दीजिए ऐसी बात है बोला
Bismillah. Bismillah. So which one is this?
That one's regular.
We don't need to stand right here. Why is there two of the echoes? What's this one? It's regular? Bismillah. Bismillah. It's echo.
It's not like this, but it's the same one as this one. Shows here.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله الذي له العز والجبروت وبيده الملك والملكوت وله الأسماء والحسنى والنعوت العالم فلا يعزب عنه ما تظهره النجوى أو يخفيه السكوت القادر فلا يعجزه شيء في السماوات والأرض ولا يفوت أنشأنا من الأرض نسما واستعمرنا فيها أجيالا وأمما ويسر لنا منها أرزاقا وقسما تكنفنا الأرحام والبيوت ويكلفنا الرزق والقنوت فله البقاء وله الثبوت وهو الحي الذي لا يموت والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا محمد النبي الأمي العربي المكتوب في التوراة والإنجيل المنعوت صلى الله عليه وعليهم ما اتصل به الإسلام جده المجنوت وانقطع به الكفر حبله المبتوت وسلم كثيرا أما بعد قال الله عز وجل في كتاب العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيهم مشكورا وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام إن العبد إذا زهد في الدنيا أنبت الله الحكمة في قلبه وأنطق بها لسانه وبصره به عيب الدنيا وداءها ودواءها وأخرجه منها سالما إلى دار السلام رواه ابن ماجه أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected brothers and elders, mothers and sisters in Islam, one person, he was sitting down and he was in a very distressed state, and the great scholar Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi, he walked up to him and he saw him sitting in this very distressed state, and he asked him, what's your problem? And he said, a lot's going on in my life. There's a lot going on in my life. A lot of times, this answer you can ask even an 11-year-old, my son, you ask him 10, he's looking stressed out, and you ask him, what's going on? He's like, so much. For him, so much is so little for somebody else. Why? What's wrong with you? I have a math exam tomorrow. I have this tomorrow. I have that tomorrow. So for him, this becomes a big, huge burden. Then the same question you ask a 25-year-old who's stressed out, what's going on? A lot going on. Same thing, but his a lot is a little bit more than the 10-year-old, but maybe a little less than the 40-year-old. And the way we look at things. So you asked him, what's your problem? There's a lot going on. He said, let me ask you 3 questions. and you answer these 3 questions for me, and then tell me how much is going on in your life. He said, go ahead, ask me these 3 questions. He says, أيجري في هذا الكون شيء لم يقدر الله? He says, is there a possibility for anything to happen in this world that Allah does not want to happen? Is it possible that something in this world can happen without the permission, amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He says, كلا. He says, okay. أينقص من رزقك شيء قد قدر الله لك? Is it possible that some risk or sustenance that was written for you, all the strength and power of the world put together, can they take it from you? He says, كلا. He said, أينقص من أجلك شيء قد أجل الله لك? Is it possible that if your lifespan is written to be this so and so and such, is it possible that some power or something in the world can take a minute or a second from your life? He says, كلا, no way. He says, علام الهم إذن. He said, then why are you stressed out for them? This is the world Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already has created. Arzaq Allah already has destined. Things that Allah has already made. So what's your issue? Why are you stressing out for it? There is this disease that we call myopia, which is a person, he can see something that's close to him, but he cannot see something that's far away from him. And ulama, they write that the ummah as a nation is suffering not from myopia in a sense where I can look at this paper but I can't look, I have to wear glasses for something far away. But as a nation, we're suffering from something called spiritual myopia, where we can see the benefits of something immediate. Yeah, I benefited from this sin immediately, but I cannot understand the ramifications and the effects of my sin that I'm committing in the future. Yes, I cheated this person and I got this money. I benefited from it right now. But what's going to happen to me 2 years later or 5 years later? The effect of what I'm doing right now, I can't really think of that. And that lens of Iman is not put in our hearts in that way. The Prophet ﷺ came to this world and he changed the lens in the hearts of people so they can think of something much further down the road. The way you're looking at things right now, it's not like that. And the first thing he did was about shuhada. There were people, bodies in the battle of Badr, in the battle of Uhud, people in Mecca who are going through so much difficulty. And it was hard for people to go through this. This person was young, he had a long life, and all of a sudden, for the sake of Islam, for the deen of Islam, his life is gone. Yeah, the way you're looking at that person is you're putting this person in the grave. This person has now left the world. But in the eyes of Allah, with the lens of Iman, this person is alive forever. One person, his name is Amr bin Tufail ibn Amr al-Dawsi, who is the son of Tufail bin Amr. He was with his father in the battle of Yamama. His father was shaheed in the battle of Yamama, while his one arm was paralyzed. It was amputated in the battle of Yamama. He had an open wound right after the battle. Both father and son went to this battle to become shaheed, but the father, Allah granted him shahada in that battle, and the son was later on a shaheed in the battle of Yarmouk. So he was sitting there about to eat food. The food comes out, and at that time, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu comes to eat food with them. He walks in, and everyone knowing his personality, they were a little bit afraid to eat in front of him. Especially this man who had an open wound, blood is leaking out. He's going to eat food on this table spread in front of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. So he scoots away. And look at how they looked at things. So Umar ibn Khattab observed that this man he scooted away. He said to him, Wallahi ma akulu min la akulu min hadhihi al-qas'a hatta ta'kulu minha. He says, Wallahi, I'm not going to eat from this food until you also eat with me from the same plate. So come back over here. And then he says, Wallahi, the reason why he's saying this, he says, Wallahi ma fil qawmi rajulun ba'duhu fil jannati ghayraq. He says, Wallahi, there is not a single person sitting in this gathering that a portion of their body has already been accepted by Allah and deposited in Jannah other than you. So it's my honor that you sit next to me and I sit next to you and we eat from the same food, from the same plate. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahmatullah alayhi, I can mention this story because Shaykh Abdul is not here today. He used to collect goods. كان يشتري البضائع ويتجر بها. He used to collect goods. The example of that today would be someone goes to China or someplace, buys goods, and then puts them on Amazon and drop ships them. Starts like a small drop shipping business. He would have multiple small businesses in these ventures that he would do. Why? And then he would, from those businesses, imagine not just giving sadaqah. One is to give donation, which mashallah, this community is known in the whole world. May Allah make you known for that in this world and in akhirah, inshallah. So one is to do that, whatever money I have, I'm giving. But this man, as a scholar, as a faqih, he would take out time just to establish small businesses on the side. And the profit of those businesses at the end of the year, كان ينفق على شيوخ المحدثين. He would take all that profit and he would spend it on the necessities and needs of all the great muhaddithin of the time in that area. This is narration in Tariq Baghdad. You can open and read it. And whatever remained from after buying this sheikh a house or a horse or clothing, whatever remained, he would give him the money. After giving him the money, that's why I said Shaykh Abdullah is not here is a good thing. So after giving him the money, he would say to them, يا شيخ لا تحمدوا إلا الله فوالله ما أعطيتكم من مالي شيئا. He says, oh Shaykh, do not praise anyone other than Allah. Don't praise me. Don't compliment me. Don't say nothing about me, because I have not given you anything from my money. فإن في رزق الله محولات. That Allah has multiple ways to bring you rizq. Allah is just using me. وَهَذَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيَّ. And this is the fadl of Allah upon me, that Allah is using me for this. When the Prophet walks in and he asks Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, how much of the animal, the meat of the animal remains? She says, مَا بَقِيَ مِنْهَا إِلَّا كَتِفُهَا أو غَيْرُ كَتِفِهَا. O Prophet of Allah, all of it I distributed. The only thing that remains is one shoulder of it, one portion of the meat. So for her, she's looking at this one portion of the meat that she has in her house as what remains. And the Prophet ﷺ shifts the angle right away, that the way you're looking at it is not correct. He says, بَقِيَ كُلُّهَا غَيْرُ كَتِفِهَا. Oh Aisha, all of it remains except for the piece of meat, that shoulder that you have in your house, because مَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مَا عِنْدَكُمْ يَنْفَدُ وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَاقٍ. That what you have, it's whatever you have is not going to remain, but what Allah has in His treasures is what remains. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he was crying at the demise of his brother. And someone came to him and said to him, I mean, why are you crying? You're the Sahabi of the Prophet ﷺ. You've seen so much in your life. At this point, nothing should faze you. And he says, كَانَ أَخِي فِي النَّسَبِ. Come on. At the end of the day, he's my blood brother. And وَصَاحِبِ مَعَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. One is that he was my blood brother. The second is that we actually stood shoulder to shoulder in Saf with the Prophet ﷺ in salah and battles. So that makes our relationship even stronger. It's not like he was doing something else and I was doing something else. You know, there's Umar bin Khattab anhu, you know, there's his brother Zayd bin Khattab. Only two things are mentioned about him in the entire books of history. Only two things. And that's why it's not necessary to be a great person that you have to do things that are notable and people write down things about you after you leave. You have to be notable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Umar bin Khattab was with his brother, looking for his brother in the battle of Yamama, and the only mention of his brother is this. And he sees his brother laying dead on the battlefield, shaheed. And he picks his brother up and he was so shook, even though he's such a strong man. He was so shook seeing his brother on the floor and his soulless body with blood and dirt all over his face. So Umar al-Khattab puts his head on his lap and he cleans his face off and he cleans his beard. And you know what he says? He says, Ya akhi, sabaqtani marratain. Look, this is how you look at things. He said, oh my brother, you've beat me twice now. You know, we always had competition all our life, like who can shoot better and who can do this and who can do that. You beat me twice. Sabaqtani marratain. Sabaqtani ila al-Islam wa sabaqtani ila al-Shahada. You beat me to Islam because you accepted Islam before me, and you also beat me to martyrdom because you became shaheed before me. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud who said, he said, Kana akhi fi nasab. He was my brother, but my blood brother. At the same time, we worked together. It's not like he was living somewhere else, doing something else. And then he says, look at the way they looked at things. لَأَن يَمُوتَ. We have these articles and these different things. Why is God so harsh and why do people suffer so much? The reality is, you go to that person, which I've met many of these people. You go to these people who are going through difficulties and you actually ask them, are you suffering? And if they have iman, they're actually not suffering. You think they're suffering, but they're not suffering. It's like Bilal radiallahu anhu being dragged in the streets of Mecca. Yes, today a person in 2023 can say, man, he was suffering so much. But when someone asked him while he was in Syria, oh Bilal, how did you go through those days and nights in Mecca? He says, امتزجت حلاوة الإيمان بمرارة العذاب فطغت حلاوة الإيمان بمرارة العذاب فصبرت فحلت. He says, these two emotions were mixed in my body. These two substances were mixed. Imtazaja means to mix substances in my body. One was the sweetness of iman and being close to Allah. That's one. And the other was the pain of the punishment I was going through and what they were putting me through. So there's the pain and the sweetness. And Ibn al-Qayyim says, "Man lam yadkhul jannat ad-dunya, lam yadkhul jannat al-akhirah." A person who does not enter the paradise of this world will not be able to enter the paradise of akhirah. Someone asked him, what does that even mean? He says that muhabbatullah, in the pain that you're going through, the nearness that you feel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is paradise. This is everything you live for. Everything we do is to get closer and closer to Him. Ar-rafiq qabla al-tariq wal-jar qabla al-dar. Before you decide where you're going, you decide who you're going with. And before you decide where the house is going to be, it's better to decide the neighborhood. So he says, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he says, look at the way he's looking at it. He says, Alhamdulillah. He says, لَأَن يَمُوتَ فَأَحْتَسِبُهُ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِنْ أَنْ أَمُوتَ فَيَحْتَسِبُنِي. He said, the fact that he dies before me and I could get the reward of being patient is more beloved to me. Yes, you think I'm suffering? No, I'm not. I am enjoying the reward of being patient. It is more beloved to me than if I died before him and he enjoyed the reward of patience. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari anhu was asked one after the other. His children used to pass away and he used to bury every one of his kids. He buried. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari was asked, how do you do it? How do you live? Go through so much pain. But they never suffered from myopia. They saw, when you have a picture on your phone, I don't have my phone on me. You have a picture, you can zoom in on Google Maps all the way to your house. Zoom all the way in. And imagine living your entire life zoomed in. But that's not the whole picture. The picture got distorted now. But then you zoom out, then you see your neighborhood. Then you zoom out a little bit more, you see your city. You zoom out far enough, you see the world. That's what Allah in the Quran, He teaches us, zoom out and see akhirah. See the reward. وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتُ خَيْرٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ ثَوَابٌ وَخَيْرٌ أَمَلًا وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتُ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ ثَوَابٌ وَخَيْرٌ مَرَدًّا. Look, zoom out a bit, and then you see what you're going through and the reward that's waiting for you. So when these people had this whole picture clear, so yeah, people came up to them and said, how about your kids? You bury them one after the other. How do you do it? And he would respond so calmly. He would say, Alhamdulillah alladhi ya'khudhuhum fi dar al-fana wa yaddakhiruhum fi dar al-baqa. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who takes them from me in this temporary world and He preserves them from me in the everlasting akhirah. I praise only Allah. Imam Makhul, rahmatullah alayhi, he's laying down sick. Someone comes up to him and he says, Ahsan Allahu afiyataka ya Aba Abdullah. May Allah make you better. Now, what does better mean to that person who's on his deathbed? People, you walk into the hospital, may Allah make you better. What it means to us is, yes, I want to come back home. I want to be with my family. But Ahsan Allahu afiyataka ya Aba Abdullah. May Allah make you better. And he looks up to him and says, Al-ilhaq بمن يرجى عفوه أحب إلي من البقاء مع من لا يؤمن شره. He said, Wallahi, the possibility of me finally meeting that being who I can expect his mercy, I can expect his forgiveness, is more beloved to me than the chance of walking up and going back home to people who I can never be saved from their suffering. Yes, someone else is going to talk negative about me. Someone's going to backbite about me. Now that I'm there, I'm at the doorstep of possibly meeting Allah finally. I'll take that all day. And he used to stand next to a grave. And when we see this, look, from the angle that we're looking at a grave is dirt, and we're putting a person's body in there. But the angle that Islam teaches us completely different. Imam Makhul used to say, Imam Masruq used to say, ما في الدنيا ما في الأرض بيت أرح للمؤمن من لحد القبر. There is not a more comforting and better home. You know, we spend all this money to build homes and all that. There is not a more comforting, better home for the believer than the innermost portion of their grave. Where are you looking at this from? Because from your eyes that you look at, if you're nearsighted, you can't see nothing but dirt. He says the most comforting place for a believer is the innermost portion of their grave. يستريح فيه من ألم الدنيا وأمن فيه من عذاب الله. In that most inner portion of their grave, this man, this woman is saved from the agony, distress, the responsibilities of this dunya. And also because he or she died with the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, will be saved from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This deen comes to teach us how to look at things properly. Because if we change the way we look at things, things begin to change. Now, that temporary pain, we will take it all day for the everlasting gain. Right now, it's the contrary. We take the temporary gain and for that everlasting pain, which is not what Islam, which the Prophet came down to this world with. May Allah make it easy for us to act upon whatever was said, bring it into our lives, and see the world the way Allah wants us to see the world. And look at the things that of this world the way Allah wants us to look at it. It ليس الغنى عن كثرة العرض ولكن الغنى النفس ليس الشديد بالسرعة إنما الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. The Prophet kept on reframing our thoughts about things. This is not richness, this is richness. This is not strength, this is strength. The way we look at what strong is not the way it is in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-mu'min al-qawi, if you open this hadith that we talk about qawi and working out, if you open this hadith, Ibn Hajar Asqalani talks about one after the other, and the last thing he speaks about is bodily strength. The first one is the one who's strong enough to withstand long ibadat, long ita'ah. He doesn't get phased. He can stand, walk, do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So iman, when iman develops in the heart, we start to see things with the lens of iman. So Allah strengthen our iman so we can see the things with the way Allah wants us to see them, and we can act upon things and be motivated towards things so we get closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi alameen. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده المصطفى أما بعد إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد الأمي وعلى آله وسلم تسليما اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم انصر من نصر محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وجعلنا منهم معهم اللهم اخذل من خذل محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم ولا معهم اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا انك حقنا على كل شيء قدير امين رب العالمين ان الله يأمر بالعدل والاحسان وايتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون واذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم وذكر الله تعالى اعلى واولى واتم وهم واكبر اقيموا الصلاه. Please make your line straight.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا اعتدلوا تراصوا بنا الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله.
Assalamu alaikum. First, I'd like to thank Mufti Abdul Rahman, Jazakallah khairan, making it all the way out here. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming. Jazakallah khair. Just a very few announcements. We're heading into spring break weekend, so make dua for everybody who's traveling to go and come back safely, inshallah. We have a big group of people in Flint going to Umrah, so inshallah they go and come back in safety and increased iman, inshallah. Salat al-Isha starting tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Salat al-Isha. And Fajr tomorrow morning will be at 6:30 a.m. So 6:30 a.m. Tonight we'll be having dhikr session at 6:45 at Dyewood Center and also online. So dhikr session 6:45 at Dyewood, and then the Arabic session will be at 8:45. So 8:45 for the Arabic session tonight, and that will be online, inshallah. 8:15. Okay, 8:15. The Arabic session will be at 8:15. 8:15, inshallah. And Shaykh Abdul will be giving the Arabic session tonight. One last thing, we sent out an email and we also sent it out in the WhatsApp group for management committee. If you are interested, please put your names in there and nominate people that you know, family members that are interested, inshallah. We'd like to everybody to get involved. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh, there's also, as a reminder, Shaykh Taha Sukar will be giving the Quran classes between every Monday through Thursday at Dyewood, between Maghrib and Isha. So please join that, inshallah, for anybody who's looking to work on their tilawah or their hifz. Jazakumullahu khairan.